The all-new WICR. We're now on Live 365 and Ustream.com. Just search WICR and like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/WICR Iona College Radio.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bill and Bob.
Hello, Bob. I am Bill, and
this is Bob.
What's going on?
All right. So, we're going to be talking about a couple sports topics. First one has to do with New York Knicks owner James Dolan. Now, this is a pretty interesting story.
Well, hold on, Rob. Before we begin, I would like to say to everyone, thank you for joining us on our first show of Bill and Bob.
Absolutely, thank you.
And
to be quite honest, a little bit nervous, but you know what? I'll get through it. So, thank you for listening. Who was listening?
And also, Rob, thank you for joining us here at WICR. For everyone that has followed my other shows in the past, Maloney and Ricker and Political Gridiron, Rob is one of my great friends, and it's nice to be doing this together.
Thanks, man.
And, let's just talk sports.
Absolutely.
No politics for a change. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's next. So, I'm a Knicks fan myself, so this kind of strikes home a little bit. James Dolan, owner of the Knicks, he let's just say he hasn't always been exactly the most well-liked person, especially in amongst the NBA. And this was evidence of that. Irving Bierman, a 73-year-old man who's a longtime Knicks fan, sent him a email. It was a very professional email, nothing, too slanderous, about his frustration with the way this New York Knicks franchise has gone.
Uh-huh.
And James Dolan responded in a less than pleasant manner. So we are going to read that email with Bill playing James Dolan and me being Mr. Bierman. So this is what Mr. Bierman wrote. At one stage, I thought that you did a wonderful thing when you acquired everything from your dad. However, since then, it has been all downhill. You're working with Isaiah Thomas and everything else regarding the Knicks. Bringing on Phil Jackson was a positive beginning, but lowballing Steve Kerr was a disgrace to the Knicks. The bottom line is that you merely continue to interfere with the franchise. As a Knicks fan for in excess of 60 years, I am utterly embarrassed by your dealings with the Knicks. Sell them so their fans can at least look forward to growing them in a positive direction. Obviously, money's not the only thing. You have done a lot of utterly stupid business things with the franchise. Please, no more. Respectfully, Mr. Bierman.
Now I'll be playing the role of James Dolan, the Knicks owner. Mr. Bierman, you are a sad person. Why would anybody write such a hateful letter? I am just guessing, but I'll bet your life is a mess, and you are a hateful mess. What have you done that anyone would consider positive or nice? I am betting nothing. In fact, I'll bet you are a negative force in everyone who comes in contact with you. You most likely have made your family miserable. Alcoholic, maybe? I just celebrated my 21-year anniversary of sobriety. You should try it. Maybe it will help you become a person that folks would like to have around. In the meanwhile, start rooting for the Nets, because the Knicks don't want you. Respectfully, James Dolan. Now, that was the owner of the New York Knickerbockers.
That's absolutely not a good look, to be quite honest. The Knicks, even when they've been good, which hasn't really been in a while, they've always kind of been the punching bag of the NBA because they play in New York, biggest city, obviously.
Well, Rob, I think that first, without even looking at the performance that a team puts onto the floor, you have to look at the organization as a professional organization because that's what it is.
Yeah, they're different business like every other organization is.
And whether or not you're the last team in the league or the first team in the league, I think that every organization, there's a certain kind of prestige that comes with being an owner of any organization, and that you have to represent your organization and your city and your fans as well with a certain kind of class. And also, what does it say to James Dolan's father, who he got the team from, as Mr. Bierman
It kind of makes
said.
it seem like, James Dolan doesn't deserve to own this team. Because what Mr. Bierman was saying was absolutely correct. Ever since he's owned the team, they have not been good. Since '99, they've had very little success. Even with all the big signings they made with getting players like Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony, it just hasn't worked out. It hasn't resulted in the championship or anything close to it.
Well, Rob, this does pose a question, and I think that I do differ with you. And albeit James Dolan did not represent the Knicks in the best manner, I do not think that he should be fined because I think that it's his right to go express his feelings if that's what he thinks he should be able to do. And if he wants to go disgrace his own team in such a manner, he's the owner. He has every right to do so. And but I don't think he should be punished because that's how he chooses to conduct his business. And apparently everyone has their own way about going about business. But Rob, I know that you disagree with me, so just
absolutely
explain.
Now, of course, there's obviously different ways of disciplining these owners, and obviously we've seen like NBA owners haven't exactly been, well liked in the media, especially with the
Donald Sterling and Danny Ferry.
Danny Ferry as well. And this may not be to those extremes, however, but I feel like this isn't really acceptable for an owner representing a professional organization. You're telling one of your beloved, a fan of your team, a beloved fan of your team, who wants to respect you and wants to be with you, but he hasn't done anything to deserve being liked. Everything he's done has just been absolutely atrocious. Whether it's managing the team, whether it's choosing coaches, or whatever it's been, this shouldn't be the standard that owners are held to. They should be held to a higher standard rather than being able to just send emails to these fans saying whatever, just mouthing off.
Well, James Dolan, and I think that without even being fined by the NBA, I think that he's going to be punished by the fans. Already outside Madison Square Garden,
yes,
I heard that they already got a big billboard.
That's right.
And he has totally marginalized and disenfranchised the New York Knickerbockers base. And when you do that, I don't think that the NBA really needs to fine you because you're going to see ticket sales going down. Or possibly not because it's New York City, but
New York and it's also Madison Square Garden.
You're going to see the enthusiasm, if there is any left here in New York City, this season go down dramatically. And you know what?
It hasn't been all that high.
Fans that do look at the character of the team, they might very well say there's another team in a borough called Brooklyn. And Brooklyn...
I mean, their ownership situation isn't going that great either.
No, but Brooklyn might have some new fans coming soon. Because of James Dolan, and also they're playing a little bit better ball.
I mean, it's not great ball, but the way the Knicks
they very well might make the playoffs, Robert. They might get that 8th seed.
Then again, it's the Eastern Conference, it's the weaker conference. So even making the 8th seed in the East really has no real. I mean, obviously you're in the playoffs, but it doesn't really have any real credibility at this point. But and like you said, the Nets ownership situation isn't great. Mikhail Prokhorov is thinking about selling the team. I think he sold it already, if I could be wrong. But, New York sports, it's going down. If you can remember, the New York Jets, they did the same thing with, having the sign of fire John Idzik over the practice field, So this is nothing new in New York, apparently. So.
No, I think that in New York and sports especially, and I believe I posted a picture to Instagram earlier before promoting our show, our debut. But I think that sports is looking for a personality, especially in the business and executive role of being an owner, such as George Steinbrenner. Because even if you don't like the Yankees, you call them the evil empire or whatever, George Steinbrenner, he brought class to the table every single time. George Steinbrenner, he helped so many people in the South Bronx go to college, and he never told anyone. He had this famous saying that he once said, if there's more than 2 people that know about what you did, and it's a good thing, if there's more than you and the person that benefited from it, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. That's a guy that he took time out for people that weren't just the millionaires sitting in the suites. That was a guy that genuinely cared about his fans. And hopefully James Dolan could learn from a past owner of another great New York sports franchise. And
speaking of New York sports owners, sorry to cut you off there, but
no problem, Rob.
You have the Maras, the owners of the Giants.
No.
And one of the matriarchs of the Mara family actually passed away a couple weeks ago. And,
rest in peace.
Yes, indeed. So, and that Giants organization has been run extremely well. Very rarely do you ever see stories about the New York Giants off the field. There's never any dysfunction. Even if they're not great, like I said, there's never any dysfunction. Obviously they've won multiple Super Bowls. So
no. It seems like in New York City, with sports ownership, either you got complete class with the Yankees and the Giants, or you got a frenzy going on. The Mets with the Wilpons.
Yes,
The Jets with Woody Johnson. Or now with the Knicks with James Dolan. And that's really sad. That's sad that there are selfish owners in this city that don't look at the fans, that don't realize how important sports teams are to people. Because sports teams, they're something that you grow up with.
It's kind of a distraction for people's everyday lives, you know. So
and
it kind of works as that.
It provides meaning to you. It provides meaning on cold Sundays in November and December for 3 hours where you can root for your team, where you can believe in your team, where you have hope for a championship. And when you win, when your team does good, you feel good. You go to work on Monday feeling good. And, you know, if you're a Knicks fan right now, you really aren't that enthusiastic about it, and it's a long, cold winter.
Absolutely not. And also, this thing about owners, if you ever notice, the owners that don't really have the big name recognition are always the ones that own the most successful teams.
Yes.
In the NFL especially. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, any casual fan will not know who their owners are. It's the Rooneys. And obviously they've won more Super Bowls than any NFL franchise. You know, and ever since Jerry Jones took over Dallas, they haven't been respectable. It hasn't been until this year that they've been respectable or anything. You know, nobody knew the owner of the 49ers, and they have 5. So, you know, it's just, you know, ownership, it differs with teams, you know. If usually the owners that nobody knows are the ones that actually do the best. If you know James Dolan, everyone in NBA knows James Dolan is.
Well, they aren't known because the only reason for an owner to really be in the media is for a negative reason.
Exactly. You know.
So, if you're known for a bad reason. That's like ending up on page 6 in the New York Post tabloids, you know.
Yeah.
You want to be there.
No, absolutely.
No. Or like being a politician ending up on the front page of the New York Post. Unless it's election day, you don't want to be there.
Exactly. You know, and the Lakers are another one. You know, although they're not
No.
great now, you know, most Laker fans might not know who the owner is, and the owner's not exactly, you know, on first name basis. I mean,
No.
not name recognition for him isn't up there. You know, and I'm kind of having a hard time remembering who it is. Actually, I think it's Jim Buss. I could be wrong.
Yes, it's the Busses.
Jim Buss, right? And you know,
well, right there. The Lakers organization, it's basically a family-run organization where you have
just like the Rooneys in Pittsburgh.
Yes,
yeah.
well, I think that if you have a situation like that, and it can work both ways, and we see it here in New York. Unfortunately, with the Yankees, you have 2 different camps within the Steinbrenners now. You have Hank's camp and you have Hal's camp, and when you have that, you have a question of loyalty. And you have a question on who's going to really step up to the plate that season. Every single season, it's like you don't really know who's the owner that season, really. But in the case of the Rooneys and the Busses, if you have a family-run organization that really runs tight, it's a tight fold knit, that can really run very sweet. But when you have something other than that, and we see in sports conflict of interest really in the hierarchy, and that's very dangerous. And you know, I'm a Knicks fan.
Yep, same here, man.
I understand where James Dolan's coming from an executive point of view. Hey, if you don't like our team, then go somewhere else. But
you're not going to tell the fans.
But he didn't express it properly. And you know, I think Carmelo Anthony said it best about this. You know, we all have our days, and I think that, you know, let's not throw James Dolan to the Lions right now.
I mean, he's been thrown to the Lions on multiple occasions.
But James,
I think he's gone already. Yes, yeah.
But
message to James.
Message to James: watch your behavior and take a lesson from Amari Stoudemire, who has had issues.
And also,
who has had issues before talking to fans online.
And also,
watch
James,
what you're saying.
Yes.
And Robert, do you want to close out with a little message right now, man?
Yes, James. Your job as an owner is to try to gain as much revenue. Well, obviously, it's a business. The team is a corporation.
It's a business.
And you're only going to get business if your team produces a good product on the court. And not only are the Knicks not producing a good product on the court, but you're treating your fans like this, then you know what? Your revenue stream, it's not going to look too great. So I'm just going to, end it there. So We're going to take a break, and we will be right back with Bill and Bob.
Bill and Bob will be back.